All right, what is up, adaptive Keyforge fans? We are here finally, week 4 of the final refrain, and we've got our semifinals ready to go. This one's a little bit painful. Would have been nice to be here, but really excited for this match regardless. So let's take a look at who we've got. On the right side of the bracket, we've got JDG coming out of the whole mess of sloppy lab workers there having to take each other out. And then we've got Dorian wading through lots of good players. And then also me. But yeah, both very, very good players. JDG being known for, I mean, really, JDG is known for everything. Dorian actually being really surprising, which is kind of awesome to see someone who did super well in Archon coming up in this different format here. This is one of the things we wanted to kind of see how this would go with these world champions to see if they could kind of also adapt to this format. So again, we've got JDG, US National Champion, Alliance, Archon, adaptive. JDG is doing all of it. One of our great Canadian players. And then we've got Dorian hailing from Italy. I do know this time. Who has just been bringing lots of different stuff, bringing some interesting stuff. Heart of the Forest, one of those different things, but world champion is showing his mettle here, taking down some really good players, and making it here to the semifinals. We'll see how he does against JDG. JDG bringing, this is a deck that would be well known amongst the adaptive players and probably some Archon as well. T Vicari Oficial de Abiada da Timides. I don't know if I said that right or not. Mass Mutation deck with some nasty stuff in here. Eaton's Jar, Double Infernus, Mark of Dis, Grim Reminder, and Harvest Time. So lots of purging and some recursion there. But the Eaton's Jar especially can be one of those very game warping cards, but can also make a big difference on when it gets played. So we'll see how that goes. Logos, you've got the Mind Over Matter and the autoencoder. So again, this deck, if you haven't seen it played, it has a win condition. It's not the only win condition, but it has a win condition where it can get down to basically only Star Alliance cards. It's playing Hold the Line to redraw them, and then replaying some of those draw pips and just other pips to basically shut down the game with only playing Star Alliance for the rest of the game and just recycling the same cards with the rest either in hand or archives. On Dorian's side, we've got a Grim Reminder, Shepherd the Brewmaster of Tassikov. Very interesting one. We've got Legacy Dark Discovery deck here in GR, Maverick Dark Discovery in Geistoid, but still has also Unfathomable with Dark Discovery in it as well. So the double Dark Discovery, very, very interesting, very tricky to play correctly. Kind of get all that right. Make sure you're keeping all that stuff in your memory, but should be a pretty nasty one. Important thing to note here, though, no artifact control. We saw two very big artifacts in JDG's deck with Eaton's Jar and autoencoder, so could be really interesting, but the Brawling Grounds is one of those that could shut down some of those artifacts before they hit the board. So very fast deck. This thing could outpace Vicari, especially if it gets those Dark Discoveries going early. Tendrils and everything is going to be disruptive as well. There's a good chance JDG just doesn't play creatures this game, but we'll let them be the judge of how to play this match. Both high sass, both are generating some amber. Actually, GR is not generating a ton of amber. That's kind of interesting. Plenty of amber control on both sides, plenty of creature control, but that artifact control being one of those important numbers. Let's go ahead and let these players get started. And we'll move over to all right, we've got JDG314. Guess correctly on who is going to make the game. JDG314 is on the bottom, and then Dorian on top. Again, Dorian on the GR deck. Let's see. We've got JDG going first. So MM. Just the reminders of pausing forward logs and everything. see. I'm gonna see if I can make this just a little bit bigger. I always have to change the layout when I have to do just a recording. Where is my... maybe I can't make it too much bigger. Raise it up just a little there. Okay. Ooh, all right. So autoencoder turn 1 is going to be a pretty big one for JDG there. It's just going to make Tifakari start going a lot faster. Again, it'll be interesting to see if he ends up playing hardly any creatures, but I think this GR, it does want to play, well, actually this GR does not have a ton of creatures either. Things like Echofly and Mamet it might want to play, but well, Mamet at least is not going to be affected by the Mark of Dis. Yeah, and then we just see, holy cow. Almost the entire deck discarded there already from Dorian. So we got Junk Restoration, Hallowed Festival with a discard pip on it, discarding the Soul Bomb, and then Hallowed Festival, discarding some stuff, drawn down. Did discard a Drekker from the top of JDG's deck, so probably not the most important one. Let's see, what else does that one do? And then one put on the bottom of the deck. So we don't know what that was, of course, but Dorian does. And then we got the Boo, also with a discard pip. Oh, 2 discard pips on it, discarding Plummet and Trawler, and then discarding a bunch more. And then JDG, of course, with the thinking, there's the Eaton Jar. Eaton's Jar stopping Dark Discovery, so really, really slowing down what this GR deck is going to be able to do. So we do see kind of the shift in strategy here for Dorian getting that Brawling Grounds down and the Brobnar creatures. But this autoencoder, or this Eaton's Jar this early in the game with no keys for Dark Discovery is going to be really rough. JG, again, probably not going to play any creatures this game, or likely not to, especially now with the Brawling Grounds, except the Brawling Grounds itself really doesn't do a whole lot against this autoencoder. It kind of just helps you. JG, though, discarding the Harvest Time could have purged the Brawling Grounds there, but it would have given Dorian a key. So being a little bit careful with that. And again, I don't think that's the biggest deal. 1, if you're not playing many creatures, and 2, discarding just makes your autoencoder go faster anyways, but already up to 5 cards in archives here, and lots of dis in the discard. Was the Mark of Dis discarded too? No, Stirring Grave. So where'd the Mark of Dis come from? I missed that one. Discards Pandemonium. Interesting. Was that one of the drawn down hits? Because we didn't see it get archived or played or anything. Oh, drawn down. Got another one there. Okay. So Dorian going into Geistoid here, getting some more Amber, getting up to check. Again, the low amount of pips in this deck is tough, but it is GR Geistoid, so there is a chance that Dorian will be able to just loop the Geistoid here and just keep getting Amber that way, even without having this win condition. Does get to filter JDG's deck a little bit with those drawn downs. Drawn downs? Down? However you say that. And then, yeah, so already recycled a good amount, already flipped the deck once. Both drawn downs are in the discard. Deep dive. Yeah, and then this one, dive deep, is not going to probably do a lot either if JDG is committed to the no creature game. But game 1, this autoencoder coming down right off the bat is really tough for Dorian, but that's just one of the things with these kind of cards. I'm not good enough to play with them. I've kind of stopped playing with really big artifact or really artifact dependent decks because I have struggled with the variants. But players like JDG, they're just able to make it work. Obviously, he's good enough to play this deck with or without the autoencoder, but has to change strategies based on that. So we'll see what Dorian can do. We do get the Hold the Line getting played there. Center Chief getting discarded, playing the Subdue to stun the Headhunter just in case. So there you go. So we do have a creature coming down. Center Chief Garcia is going to tax this key But we did see the second Garcia also go down. So taxing key number 2 is, or taxing this again is unlikely. This thing will probably, yeah, get bounced here. So we'll see if JDG is willing to go back into Star Alliance. Mycolia is reaping. Again, if JDG can get the cycle going, you're basically recycling subdues a lot too. So you get to stun the whole board, but leave it there. So you keep getting value off of the hold the line. JDG instead going into Logos, EPing here makes sense with the Garcia coming down last turn to stop the key. Now getting a lot of value off that EP. Welcome, JT. Yep, we've got TFR, which is an interesting one, but turn 1 autoencoder and I think turn 2 or 3 Eaton's Jar is very, very good in this matchup. Dorian wants to be doing discarding and wants to be playing Dark Discovery, and no artifact control on his side means that Eaton's Jar just wrecks this plan. So now just trying to figure out how to get Amber any other way he can to try and outrace this ticking time bomb of Tivakari's infinite combo here. Ooh, BR Geist, though, always has some interesting stuff. Does go for one of his own in the Tangy Mangy, which isn't doing a whole lot here except just trying to build up a board of unfathomable creatures. Discarding the Dark Discovery. Mehmet is archiving that BR Geist. And Dive Deep, I think, having no good hits there because the deck was maybe gone. Maybe it hit the... Well, Empty Draw Pile is the 5-head play if you have no other options, but simple plan is Eaton's Jar, the Dark Discovery, and your opponent having no artifact control. All right, we've got the first Infernus coming down along with that Dominator Bauble. Again, you don't really have to purge. Yeah, you go for the Geistoid stuff here just to try and slow down any of that looping, slow down those discard pips, and stopping the key again, which is important. Getting a Bonesaw down here. So interesting, again, to see JDG actually playing creatures here. The Bonesaw especially, well, there was nothing to archive, so you might as well play them. And there's maybe not too much downside to playing them right now, except this Brawling Grounds. But again, Brawling Grounds really is almost helping JDG's game plan here, giving you some extra autoencoder hits. Dorian, though, not able to get that first key before JDG's first cycle. We've got 11 in archives already. Do you see the Geistoid Call here? Touchstone going to draw since Dorian is haunted. BR Geist coming down with a discard pip, hitting the Trawler. Sorry, the BR Geist coming down, hitting the Trawler with a discard pip. Trawler will capture here, but doing the discard first. This was a little bit of a short notice pickup for me to cast this, and the amount of time it could take was a factor. So I'm kind of hoping it doesn't come to that, but we'll see. JDG seems to be getting the archives full pretty quick here, but generating Amber and dealing with sort of this board could take a lot. Dorian does get key 1 here. Just need to hope we don't go to game 3. Yeah, if it was Vakari versus Heart of the Forest, this would have been... I don't even know if that game ever ends. Except Vakari does have artifact control. It's got the Harvest Time, so there is a way, there is an out for that game not going forever. All right, Dorian going back into Geistoid here, using Touchstone, getting the energy vampirism down, so going to get some more Amber, getting a nice Amber total here, and that Echo Fly is going to let Dorian recycle. The question is, what do you recycle here? It's tempting to get the BR Geist, but every creature you play now just makes that hold the line that much better, and it doesn't take too much more for JDG to get to infinite with that. Already almost half the deck archived. A couple more artifacts down does make it half the deck essentially out of the game. Echo Fly is going to return Follow the Leader. Huh. Interesting call there from Dorian, but I kind of wonder if he's planning for a bigger Brawling Grounds turn here or wants to be able to kill some of his own creatures off that, thinking that Mamet and stuff, but very interesting call. I think you go to check if you do a lot of other things there. Excited to see what Dorian has with this. But we haven't seen Brobnar for a while, so pretty good chance that Dorian is holding on to a big Brobnar turn and maybe needs that Memorialize, but Memorialize is just not going to do anything in this game. That is not a great plan against Tivakari. Brawling Grounds is interesting though, but again, JDG can get to a point where you're just not playing creatures anymore, except needing to play the Garcias, I guess. So it could be a little bit tricky. I think Dorian's going to try and do whatever he can to adapt to the Eaton's Jar, taking out the deck's main plan there. So JDG doing a survey and then some more discards. We do see that Garcia getting discarded here. Dorian not in check yet, so no need to play it. Don't want more creatures on the board than you have to, and Dorian can actually get at least one free discard off of this with JG only having one card in the deck still. Like we said, JG being the last of the Sloppy Lab work holdouts. It's pretty brutal having to see so much infighting there in that upper right corner of the bracket, but we'll see if he can do you all proud by taking this all the way to the finals. We'll see. Still a lot to play for here. And personally, I probably should root for Dorian to win to make myself look better. But we're impartial here at the final refrain, as we've proven so many times. Never rigging wheel spins or anything like that, ever. Dorian having a think about this turn. Again, picking up that Follow the Leader last turn with the Echo Fly instead of getting to check. Probably sitting on a pretty decent hand of Brobnar. What do you have in Brobnar? Lash outs aren't really doing a whole lot for you. I guess you could destroy some of your own creatures to try and slow down JDG's combo. We saw the Plummet go, right? Yeah, Plummet's gone and Soul Bomb is gone. Soul Bomb also would have been a nice way to kind of clear this board for yourself, and then you can kind of, maybe you get to a game state here where you can kind of recycle the Trawler. But it is tricky at this point. You kind of know your time is very limited. I think Dorian probably needed to get that first key a couple turns earlier. That Garcia coming down really hurt him. Really, I think this deck probably has to get at least one key off of drawn down. Or off of Dark Discovery before the Eden Shard comes down to have a decent shot here. But having no artifact control for this just makes it really hard to avoid the inevitability win con. Both want revenge on Dorian. I need revenge on too many of the top players here. After also getting O2'd by Karen recently, who is in top cut of this and in Kagi now. So I have the recording of that game, and I am ashamed to even share it with anyone because game 2 was rough. Kind of wondering what the plan is here for Dorian. Because again, this Echo Fly is still alive. I don't know if it gets you enough value. Having a long think about this one though. Okay, we do see the Brobnar call. Headhunter unstuns. We'll likely see that follow the leader come down. Discarding Memorialize makes sense. You have actually, there's no creatures in your discard pile, so you could just play it for the one lost Amber for JDG. There's a Lash Out. Okay, so Lash Out does hit some of his own creatures here. Is going to get that Memorialized Archive off of the Mehmet. Brawling Grounds activated now. And then again, we'll know that the Follow the Leader is coming down. No after fight effects here, so you're going to be discarding your own stuff with these fights because none of your things are going to survive against JDG's creatures. Okay, so we see Furnace getting fought, Bonesaw getting fought, all with the smaller creatures. So Dorian using this more to thin out his own hand and remove creatures from his board. Concussive Transfer getting discarded, maybe not one of the hits he was hoping for. See if he fights off the rest here. But I think he's trying to get as even a creature amount as he can with JDG. Just to reduce the impact of the Hold the Line, which we don't know. Could have gotten archived randomly. It was in the reshuffle. Okay, and there's more JDG. Discarding the Hold the Line. Okay, that's a pretty big hit there for Dorian. And then losing down to size. Can't play the down to size. Well, yeah, could have played it on the Bonesaw, I think. Interesting, he chose to forego a couple Amber pips there. But JG probably, yep, has the EP here. QMech drawing through, and then Infomorph discard to get the autoencoder going again with that draw through from the QMechs. Okay, Dorian going Unfathomable here. Plays Drawn Down, so getting to do some top of deck manipulation. Also still somewhat helpful. We get a Ornar Skullface getting discarded to take out the QMechs. Second Drawn Down, doing some more discarding here, so we get that Hold the Line hit again by the Drawn Down. But that means there's a pretty good chance JG just has that EP back in hand here. If not, that could be second key, I think. Oh no, the Infernus is back. Oh, maybe no Infernus? Bonesaw and Grim Reminder getting discarded. There's a Stirring Grave to archive the Bonesaw. All right, JG down to 10 total cards. We know one of them is the Hold the Line, and Dorian having 4 creatures here does mean that that will be a full draw So can get the combo going unless Dorian destroys some of these creatures or does some hand manipulation. There's a dive deep. Not really going to do much for you here. Hallowed Eve going to do some capturing. So Dorian did get key 2 here, which is important to note. Question is it enough? Probably not. JDG, again, being fairly well set up here. Goes Logos, so it does not have... But there it is, getting down to 5 cards in hand, 2 in the draw, 6 in archives. Dorian going back into Unfathomable here. Reaping with the Trawler. Does Dorian have ways of getting these? Oh, he does. Okay, so there's the Tendrils. Discarding, getting his own creatures off the board. Replaying Trawler here to capture the Amber and do some discarding of his own. Tendrils bringing them back. So JDG only going to have 1 card draw off of hold the line here, if any. We'll see. Yeah, I think you do play that there, especially to keep JDG off check and getting the free discard. But this could be really, really close for JDG, who does find the Eclectic and EP again. And now we see no cards in draw and all of them in archives except for the hand, which means we are ready to fire next turn. And at this point, you can just cycle to kill the Trawler and hope that Dorian does not have the BR Geist. There's a Lash Out, doing some damage, getting Dorian up to 11 or up to 5 Amber. Needs 1 more here, but I think, I mean, it's going to be close. I'm trying to remember what all Amber control the Star Alliance can do. And it's mostly the Garcia, right? So you kind of have to play creatures, which then opens you up to the Brawling Grounds, discarding cards, which makes your draw pile messier, so you can't necessarily do the combo. But not getting to check there, I think, is pretty brutal for Dorian. Dorian says it's time. Kirby into Infernus too. Yeah, that's fair. But so Dorian playing the 2 Brobnar creatures there doesn't really make a difference because there was no cards left, so we knew the combo was ready to fire either way. But it does give JG a little bit more wiggle room, I think. So hitting the Morik with the stun there. Then survey. Let's hold the line. Okay, and we just start seeing the rule of 6ing. There's the Garcia coming down. Also getting subdued. It's interesting not wanting to kill the Trawler because you don't need to, even though the BR Geist is in the discard pile, so Dorian would not be able to replay it here anyways, but there is 1 more Tendrils, I believe. Dragnet's gone. Got 1 Tendrils, 2 Tendrils. Yeah, so there's 1 more Tendrils. So Dorian is going to be able to bounce this, so I think that means you actually should kill it, right? Otherwise, it's just going to get bounced and replayed next turn. Especially if it gets to reap too, that's a lot more Amber than... Okay, so there's the Hadron Collision. So Garcia not staying on the board here. There's another Subdue. I don't know if JDG has like dice in front of him, or can he just track this rule of 6ing pretty well at this point. I just imagine he has like, I don't know, whiteboards or something for all of his different rule of 6 decks. Okay, so JDG gets to 9 amber there. Current key cost is 10 for Dorian. Not able to forge. Did not kill the trawler. Again, this is a tricky one. Because with one more tendrils, or is one of the tendrils? No, none of the tendrils are purged. So yeah, Dorian will be able to stop this key with the tendrils. Tendrils is not... Yeah, it's just a creature. It doesn't have to be an enemy creature. Tangy Maggie also coming down. Going to be able to do some taxing here. Except JDG will never be haunted. Oh, must have been the last card of the deck. That's really unfortunate. Okay, so no taxing and does not have the way to bounce the trawler there. Unless I'm miscounting something. I think it's 3 tendrils. I mean, I'd only seen 2. So it must have been that last card in the draw. Garcia comes down. Access denied. Hadron Collision on the Garcia. Hold the line to redraw all of those. And this is kind of rinse and repeat at this point, which JDG is very fast at. After, I don't know, how many reps do we think JDG has with Vicari? Probably more games than I have played of all Keyforge. Some people are just able to do that. I have such a hard time with it. Okay, so continuing the cycle of those 4 cards here, hold the line, getting crazy amber totals. And again, Dorian not being haunted anymore does mean the trawler is actually not going to be able to bounce and recapture. So I think this is going to be too many reps. Right, the similar alliance builds, because he uses some pieces of Vicari for the infinite dis combo too, right? The Mindfire rule of 6. Okay, Dorian's key cost is 16, so that's the bar you have to get to in order to not lose next turn. Does go Brobnar here. Going to unstun for fun. Ooh, Plummet to destroy everything. Okay. Echo Fly, archiving concussive transfer. But yeah, JG basically only needs to play Garcia here and the game is over. Yeah, there we go. So that is game 1 going to JDG. And let me paste the logs here quick. So now the question with these kind of decks, can Dorian replicate? Yeah. We lost Dorian. So we do see it is kind of close. There is a chance for this GR to outrace Vicari. That was, I mean, Vicari found what it needed pretty early on there, especially the autoencoder turn 1 is just brutal. But really, I think the Eaton's jar is almost bigger. Yeah, definitely 2-0 potential. But not counting Dorian out of this. For our game to be back up. There we go. And this was not made as a reversal game. Oh, that's one way to do it. Didn't get the logs of that one. And yeah, JG is going second, so MM is going first. We're all good to go. Dorian now on Mass Mutation deck. not finding autoencoder turn 1. Did have a mulligan there. We saw him go down to 6. JG does have the junk restoration to start with. Does grab the dive deep. Again, if you can... Oh, not this one. Oh, Dark Discovery. If you can get one of those artifacts off of the top with a dive deep, this is a totally different game. It's a second junk restoration here. I think I missed that. I had two junk restorations, both of them in the starting hand. Very, very nice for JDG. Getting drawn down. Again, just looking at those top of deck effects, not even going for the Dark Discovery right now. Plays a drawn down, looking at the top 3, discarding one, putting one on the bottom, and putting one on top. See what he finds. Infernus, not a bad hit here. Especially keeping those Geistoid cycle cards alive is very, very good if you want to just try to outrace this end game. Does get the dive deep. I gotta remember what these do. Discard, or they can just keep playing fast, so I can't track them. Yeah, discarding the top of the deck. So what did we lose there? So the EP also gone and the Stirring Grave. Dive deep now, hitting the Harvest Time off the top. So some steal potential. Oh, the Dragnet. Yeah. Pretty different looking game at the moment. But we'll see. JG has not been able to hit those artifacts yet. So played a lot of that top of deck disruption, not quite finding the cards he's looking for. But Dorian has also not found them yet. Soul Bomb and Brawling Grounds coming down. Again, Brawling Grounds, similar thing. Has the chance for that random discard before one of those artifacts comes down. Double Lash Out, taking out that whole Logos board, going to 7 Amber. We're going to see Star Alliance here. Red Alert dealing some damage and probably a Garcia here. There's a Survey, there's a Subdue. Getting some card draw here as well. So second Infernus going off of that Survey. And we've got Kirby, Torado, and Garcia. So Dorian going the other route of just setting up a scary mass mutation board here. But all the bounce in this GR deck, I think, makes this pretty tough to win off of. GG going back into Brobnar may just pop the Soul Bomb here. Down to size. Yep, there's a Soul Bomb taking out that line. There's a Skull Face coming down. Saying check at 8. We did see the Effervescent Principle is gone. So we need to see second Garcia here to stop this key because also both of the Infernuses are gone. All right, there's the Eaton's Jar. So a little bit of breath of hope for Dorian here. I think you have to hit... It's hard to say at this point. Dark Discoveries would be... Yeah, I think you have to. Ooh, gets a Grim Reminder for something here. Getting both of those Infernus. Okay. Wants to try and slow down this GR deck while he still looks for the autoencoder. Giving no creatures also for JDG to fight into. JG having to think about this one. We have not seen Boo, so there is a chance where JDG can Boo himself here and just flip the deck to make those Infernus way less useful. We do see the Geistoid Call. Yeah, there it is, and that's got the 2 discard pips on it as well, so that is... actually... This is a tough call. You could hit Dorian's deck No, goes for himself. Could hit the mass mutation deck and just see if that autoencoder is in there, but at this point, there's a pretty good chance it's in hand. So does hit himself. We do get to see a little bit there. The other Dark Discovery was not in hand, so don't have to worry about that. Yeah, and we do see the autoencoder was in hand for Dorian, so good call there from JDG. So now that means, again, all of those Geistoid actions are safe. You get to get some value off of Memorialize. And then some reaping here. Oh, only one reaping because of access denied. Plays the plummet. Okay, so this will discard. Not quite enough to kill the skull face, I don't think. Yeah, should just be a few damage, but the heavyweight Morg will get taken out by this. Does plummet have a discard pip on it? No. Does this allow you to choose your ordering now of discard? I think I saw some people say that TCO had been updated to do that for certain cards, but I don't think I've seen it. Yeah, Echo Fly getting to archive and memorialize the Fallen there. Getting rid of one of those Dark Discoveries again that he is no longer able to play. Dorian going into Star Alliance. JG not being in check here, so Dorian gets to kind of do a lot of stuff. Getting some card draw out. Brawling Ground's not too scary because this can only kill things so far with Assault. It's going to get taken out anyways with the Hadron Collision. Discarding Trigon and discarding the Garcia. Tricky one there, but maybe he is drawn into the EP already. So he's not super worried about stopping this key that JG is most likely to be in check for here. There's a Junk Restoration. Is that there's a Geistoid drawn down, so could take that. The thing with those, some of those cards is they don't all have Amber pips on them. Again, this GR deck actually not having a ton of Amber in it. There's an Energy Vampirism though. Gonna be able to take out the QMX or just ping that Kirby. Yep, does take out the QMX, gets that extra Amber Steel, and says check at 7. So we'll see. We know Dorian has the Infernus in hand. Is going to be able to do some damage here and get a decent board out. So Dorian is seemingly kind of changing the tactic here. Needs to get these Infernus out, but that does mean pulling the archives. Yeah. Yeah. And again, all of this sort of bounce creature control in Shepherd does make this actually a little bit scary to be able to deal with, because you don't want to be bouncing these Infernus either. And there we see the Unfathomable Call. And what was purged here? We got 2 Tendrils, Energy Vampirism, and Junk Restoration. There's a Dragnet to return some stuff and Tendrils. Drawn down. Getting rid of the Effervescent Principle. That's very good. Very good for JDG. Some nice hits there. And then Tanky Manky coming down, but Dorian going right back into, Dis, and having the Mark of Dis. So going to be able to lock JDG back into Unfathomable, getting some of these creatures down again. Going to fight off the Tanky Manky, try and keep that Drekker alive. And does have the Dominator Bobble. So again, you're going to see probably that same creature coming down. Pop Bookton comes down. JG, of course, forced into Unfathomable by the Mark of Dis. Dive Deep is going to hit the Pandemonium, so just getting that Drekker off the board. A little bit of damage control there. and some more Amber Control getting discarded from the deck. So now both EP, Infernus, and Pandemonium out of the picture, stopping the key as well with the Trawler. Doesn't get the check, but very good follow-up turn there for JDG. Dorian, though, I think just going to start going real wide. Has some of that bounce purged already, has seen some of the other bounce already played, and the plummet is gone, so the creature control options in this deck are slimming down real fast, and this is a large line of Logos creatures. Discards of Mind Over Matter. Okay, so Dorian is all in on boarding out this game. So we do know the Memorialize the Fallen is what's in archives for JDG. But let's see. Now we do still have 2 lash outs. So JDG does have a few options here, but those lash outs, you have to hit a lot of these things twice to actually remove them from the board. There's the Brobnar Call. Just adjusting that a little bit. All right, so there's our first lash out. Does start hitting some of this logo stuff, wants to get this steal and reaping potential off the board. There's a down to size, very nice. Gonna just take one of those out. Follow the leader on Trawler. Okay, so this could be, oh, JG did not take the archives though. I guess you don't want to give up your key because you do have a lot of creatures in your discard pile. I guess you could fight the Kirby. Ooh, doesn't Brawling Grounds. I guess maybe Brawling Grounds doesn't matter with auto encoder now. So back up to check. JDG having very few Amber control options here. Well, I guess we got 2 Garcias. Starline's maybe not what you want to be calling right now when you have big boards like this. Could bank on Bob Bookton hitting one. All right, so there's the Starlines call with the Garcia. Hadron Collision going to take out that Trawler. Have not seen BR Geist, so BR Geist could be coming down next turn to replay that Trawler. JG probably going to try and flip the deck here to get more value off of the Memorialize, or try to get value off the Memorialize without hitting himself. See if he found the BR Geist, though. We do see a fast Geistoid call. Junk Restoration. Trying to find some stuff. We do have the Dive Deep, which is in Geistoid, so that could do a little bit of creature control. But also tempting to just take the Lash out if you know you're low on creature control. It does take the Dive Deep. Plays that for Starline, so it does get rid of that Garcia. Getting the Hadron Collision off the top. The one nice thing about Eaton's Jar being in this game is that our players don't have to sit there and try to remember what's on the bottom of the opponent's deck. I'm sure they have good ways of like doing that if they know if you're Dorian and you're bringing this deck, you're used to keeping track of that. But let's just make it a little bit simpler, especially for me who is casting and has no clue what's on the bottom of the deck. Well, we know Garcia is now, but just simplifies things a little bit, you know? There's the BR Geist. Oh, goes for the Infernus instead. Oof. So, has a chance to do some different things here. It's a tricky call. I think, yeah, it goes for the Mark of Dis and Pandemonium. Trying to remove, well, the Disruption and Amber Control. JG have one more card, though. Not flipping the deck here. Oh, there's Touchstone. All right. So JG is going to be able to flip the deck, does get to archive the BR Geist, plays a Boo, so that was never going to be a problem. Decides to flip Dorian's deck as well. Dorian does get key number 2 here. And we do see that Garcia, both Garcias are gone, so Dorian, don't think, has a way to stop this key. JG went for the Mark of Dis rather than the Waking Nightmare. Yeah, probably correct, because you can get locked into houses that don't have any creature or amber control. Well, actually, all of these houses have some. But, oh, I guess you're playing Infernus from your opponent, so you don't want to get locked into Dis. That is probably the main reason, especially if you know you're going to boo your opponent. Okay, so Dorian just going to do some fighting here, get those Infernuses in the discard before the deck flip. Bonesaw getting Touchstone off the board. Can steal one with the Even Ivan. Ooh, Stirring Grave going to archive one of those Infernus right off the bat. And the Grim Reminder, having that drop hip on it is just brutal. Feels so rough. Harvest Time getting discarded. And goes for the Bot Bookton instead of the Even Ivan there. Discarding Hold the Line. All right, so JG does have a lot of Amber Control to wade through here. Was able to archive the BR Geist, but not Haunted, so we'll see. Right, it was the BR Geist, not the... Yeah. See if you found the Boo again, or at least some Junk Restorations to try and get Haunted. I guess you can just play it and then fight with Mehmet anyways to get it back. Or you just reap with Mehmet. Ah, it does have the Boo. Pretty good. Goes for Dorian's deck again here. Oh, we see Infernus and 2 Garcias and the EP. That is just brutal for Dorian. Those are not the cards. I mean, there wasn't a ton of deck to get through there. A lot of stuff is on the board, but definitely not all the stuff you wanted to see get thrown into your discard pile. Infernus coming out again. Does hit the EP and one of those Garcias. Holiday Festival going up to 8 Amber here. So you're now out of range of 1 Infernus. Stopping the key. We know the Pandemonium is gone. Actually gets a lot of capture off that too. So needs the Waking Nightmare here, I believe, to keep this game alive. Orion goes into Dis, has the Infernus. There's plenty of good options here. Does get the Junk Restoration and BR Geist. Has the Stirring Grave. Archiving Garcia. Bob Bookton plays the Waking Nightmare. That is about the only card. I think he had to do that there. He had to play Waking Nightmare off of the Bob Bookton to keep this game alive. Perfect hit. We'll see if it matters. JG going into Brobnar. Yeah, it's going to decide on if it's worth... Oh, Memorialize is gone. When did that get... Was that played last turn? Or was I just wrong about what was the archive to begin with? I thought... Oh, okay. Pulled it last turn and discarded it from a discard pip. Okay, it does take all the archives. I think there's a Lash Out in there, maybe? I'm trying to remember. Yep, there's a Lash Out. Not able to kill anything here unless he's got the second one. Well, could have killed the QMax, but deciding not to do that. And does not discard these to get some extra creature kills because you have to follow the leader and the plummet to wipe the board. So it gets back up to 8. We know there's a Garcia in the archives. And I don't think there's a capture pip on. Is there a capture pip on one of these? No. They're both draw pips. There's the Garcia. There's a Subdue. Survey. Trigon getting discarded. And JDG takes it. Wow. Pretty brutal there. Again, JG had that very nice start in game 1. And Dorian, it didn't seem like he was getting back to it, but JG just able to deal with that board just enough to kind of get the pressure back on. So there you have it, JDG, a 2-0 win to head into the finals. And we do not know, let's go ahead and get that score updated. Do not know who he'll be playing yet. It's going to be between Stormstrong and Karen, who TBD on timing on that one. But either way, should be a pretty solid matchup there. And then the finals looking to be a good one. Pretty fitting. JDG is a Kagi as an adaptive champion in a lot of ways. So not super surprising to see him make it this far, but we'll see if he can take it home for the sloppy lab works that he had to knock out to get here. But that will be it for us today. Thank you all so much for hanging out and watching. You sloppy lab workers especially, cheering on JDG. Dorian, congrats on getting this far. That was awesome performance for someone who has, to my knowledge, not played a ton of adaptive. Brought some really interesting decks, lots of cool stuff, but not quite getting there in this game. Again, draw's been a little bit of a thing, but Vakari, not. Neither of these decks look super easy to play optimally. They have lots of good stuff, but that optimal play is what you need to kind of really pull it out in some of these. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time on the Final Refrain. Take care, everybody.